Welcome back into today's main video. I've done a Stormwatch update, which you can find on the Stormwatch page. This is going to be looking at weather for the next sort of 8 to 10 days. Taking us really towards the end of May, actually, up towards around the last day of the month, to be honest. So getting on now, virtually halfway through the year. Hard to believe that, is it? Looks like we're going to be turning a little bit more settled through next week. Unsettled week coming up this week and into Bank Holiday weekend. Things should settle down a little bit, I think, as we go through into next week. Although never desperately settled, and it could turn more unsettled actually as we get towards the very end of the month. Quite a complicated setup coming up though next week. Before I get on with that, just make sure you advertise this video ads on my pages at gasweathervids.com and hit play on the video ad to be supporting gasweathervids.com. Thanks very much for doing that. So I'm going to start off with 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. We've got the ECMWF, as you know, on the left. The GFS is over on the right. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet is an important area in the atmosphere because that's where we've got weather taking place. High pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. So yeah, we've got the ECM over here, and the GFS is just on the right as you're looking at it. Now, this is the mean flowchart for 8 to 10 days time, which will be taking us to around the 30th of May, so getting towards the end of the month, as I say. The ECMWF is showing this trough of low pressure digging south around the British Isles, indicated by those blue colours. Got quite a lot of northern blocking as well, up to the north and the northeast of the country on that. The GFS is very similar actually, but the trough isn't quite as deep in 8 to 10 days time. Nevertheless, there's just some sort of low pressure around to the west and the southwest of the country. Again, there's the blocking up to the north and northeast. Not quite as extensive as on the ECMWF perhaps, but both are sort of gently unsettled type scenarios really. Not a washout by any means, but certainly not particularly settled, and both of them are relatively cool because, of course, the jet stream around those troughs are digging southwards of the country. Actually, not going quite that far south, but certainly digging south of the country, something like that. And again, on the GFS, we're more or less taking that jet stream to the south of the country, so it isn't particularly warm by any means. I'll look at the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. Temperatures first of all, the red line here, where we should be at this time of the year. We're above average at the moment, it's quite warm. Going to have a thundery breakdown though over the next few days. If you want to know more about that, check out the Stormwatch page. By the time we get through to the weekend, we're actually going a little bit below average with those temperatures. In terms of the upper air temperatures, anyway, going a little bit below the red line. So it will be cooling off quite a bit going up towards the weekend. And then we keep it round average, relatively cool, going out towards the end of the month. This is June the 1st just here. By which time, temperatures could be starting to stage a little bit of a recovery because that's at the extended range. Lots of rainfall spikes coming up this week as well. It's going to be a very unsettled week with showers or thunderstorms on several days. As we go up towards the weekend, starts off very unsettled, but I think we will find that trough lifting out through the course of the weekend. So by the time we get through to next week, well, we have got some rainfall spikes coming through, but it isn't a washout. There will be some drier spells. So sort of gently unsettled type conditions, I think, next week, as opposed to the dramatic sort of thundering weather and torrential rain but we've got this week. Temperature anomalies for the coming week, the 20th of May to the 28th of May, show that we're going to be a little bit below average actually. That's quite surprising because we're starting off very warm, but yeah, we're going to be a little bit below average, as is most of Western Europe actually. It's central, eastern and northeastern parts of Europe where the above average anomalies are. That's where we've got the reds. Also going to be above average in terms of precipitation in those blue colours. That means we've got temperature anomalies coming out above average, quite significantly above average for parts of the country. I think a lot of that is down to the heavy rain and thunderstorms that could trundle up from France on Wednesday night and through Thursday. So much of this could be down to one day in the coming weekly period. Nevertheless, overall, the coming week is going to be above average in terms of the rainfall anomalies. Anything up to 150 to 300% of the average, so significantly wet conditions coming up. Here's the GFS chart for Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. And we've got still a trough of low pressure over the country. It is lifting out gradually as this ridge of high pressure extends, but it is a very, very gradual process. It's generally going to be a very showery bank holiday weekend, I think, but very slowly that trough is lifting out. The ridge is beginning to extend up from the southwest at start of next week, and then it could turn a little bit more settled through the middle of next week with that slight ridge of high pressure coming through. Although by the time you get through to the latter stages of next week, the idea is that we're bringing low pressure back in from the west. Not a deep area of low pressure. We saw it on the heights anomaly chart. Low pressure sort of coming in as quite a weakish sort of feature, but enough to turn it unsettled. By the time we get through to day 10, Friday the 30th May, right at the very end of the month, low pressure is really in control of the weather. Not a deep area of low pressure, but it is in control. Certainly enough to be bringing showers, maybe longer spells of rain as well. Now, the ECMWF is a little bit different this morning. If you have a look at the chart for Bank Holiday Monday, we've still more or less got a trough over the country, still bringing shower, but the high pressure from the Azores, our summer high, is trying to extend in. And as we go through beyond the Bank Holiday weekend, actually we do send a ridge in across the country on Tuesday the 27th, so that's not too bad. Mainly sort of settled type conditions through the middle stages of next week. And then the ECMWF does something rather different. Look at this area of low pressure across Germany and central parts of Europe. The ECMWF west, east to west from the continent into by the time we get through to day 10, Friday the 30th, well, low pressure is firmly in control and it's coming from the east. That's a very unusual scenario that the ECM is going for. It's not very often that you get low pressure forming over Central Europe and drifting in from the east. It does happen, sometimes it can happen, so I wouldn't totally write it off, but it's quite a bizarre sort of thing that the ECM is going for this morning. I wouldn't put too much credence on it coming off. By suspicion that the JFS is going to be right, we'll bring the low pressure gradually through next week in from the west. So that's how it's looking. I think we are going to have a few days of more sort of settled, quieter conditions through the middle of next week before it turns unsettled. Whether it turns unsettled from the east, as the ECMWF wants to do, or from the west, as the GFS wants to do, not sure. Probably favour the GFS, I say. But overall, I think things do turn more unsettled later next week, after perhaps a couple of quieter days through the middle of next week. Overall, temperatures staying quite cool as well up to the end of the month. That's how it's looking, then. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about the thunderstorms, check out the update of the Stormwatch page. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.